It was a 50-50 split between people who went to the office and people who didn't. And after about 3 years, we decided to get rid of the office because it was not mandatory and it was not an element that was needed for our business because we built the business remote first. I always say that we do have an unfair advantage. We have one of our founders, he's actually a computer science major, and he has a master's in AI development. So he knows the structural part of AI and how AI thinks and how AI works.
What happens when a marketing agency builds its own AI instead of buying it off the shelf? This week on Next Move with Narendra, meet Kostic, co-founder of Big Momo, a remote-first performance marketing agency based in Spain. Big Momo runs paid media and traffic acquisition for brands across Europe. Anna breaks down how her team built AI systems in-house, why getting the team to use them is the real challenge, and where paid ads go next. Watch the full conversation on Next Move with Narendra.
So we're seeing a shift in user behavior, as you said, but it's still early days. I mean, the last data.
Hello, Anna. Welcome to our show, Next Move with Narendra. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited for the conversation today. And so for the people who don't know you yet, can you please start introducing about yourself and about your role and also what this Big Momo is all about?
Sure. My name is Anna Kostic. I am one of the co-founders of Big Momo. We are a digital marketing performance agency. We specialize in traffic acquisition based on performance, like leads and e-commerce. We're based in Spain, but we've been working fully remote for the past 8-9 years. And I am the head of paid media. That's PPC, Google Ads, Meta Ads, TikTok ads, all the ads.
Got it. Amazing. And you mentioned me that the agency started like almost more than 11, 12 years ago, and you shifted to the completely remote method just before 7 years. So why is that? And what has changed after you moved completely to remote?
Yes. We started working 12 years ago, and the agency was built always as a remote first business because that's what we as founders wanted to do that fit our lifestyle. But we did have an office at the beginning. We started actually in Barcelona and we had an office, but it was never mandatory to go to the office. And it was a 50-50 split between people who went to the office and people who didn't. And after about 3 years, we decided to get rid of the office because it was not mandatory and it was not an element that was needed for our business because we built the business remote first and all the processes were thought of as remote first. So we got rid of the office and actually we could pay an extra employee with what we paid in rent. So that's always good. But it's also true that for us was always a necessity. We've always traveled a lot. We have families all over the world and we needed the flexibility and we wanted to build a business that allowed us for that flexibility and a way of working that allowed us to have the lifestyle we wanted. And we thought that maybe there's out there more people who actually wanted the same lifestyle. So we tried to facilitate that lifestyle to everyone that works with us. That being said, I don't think that it's for everyone and not everyone works well in a remote first environment, but we do. And we love it. So for us, it's been great. It's true that nothing has changed that much because we always wanted to be remote first. So we thought of the business as remote first. We didn't have to adapt the business to being remote. We adapted the business to our lifestyle. So that was kind of an easy transition, but it does allow us more location independent lifestyle, which was good for us at that point.
I think it is such an dream company or dream job for a typical employee who really hates to go to the office.
Well, it depends. We've had people who've actually told us that they missed the office. So you never know. You might start working remotely and realize that you actually miss the people, the talk, the lunches. You do have to compensate socially if you're all day sitting at home or you go to a co-working space. Depends. Not for me. I love it. I love it being at home, but I do travel for events a lot and I see people for work and friends. So I do compensate in terms of other aspects of my life.
And you also told me you mostly grew your business in your country, mainly on the word of mouth, and now you are expanding to the other markets as well. So what is the goal behind of this expansion and what are the kind of challenges or the kind of plans you have for the international growth?
Sure. Yes. We're mostly known in Spain. That's where we are. That's where we have our presence and our expertise and authority mostly built. And we do service international clients right now, but most of them are based in Spain. The thing is that we do want to expand internationally. We want to grow. First of all, because we have a really excellent team for international markets and that has a great experience with multilingual and multi-market clients. That's on one hand. And on the other hand, what people don't always realize is that Spain is an extremely competitive digital market. We're a big country. We have a lot of buyers. And the penetration of internet consumerism in Spain is really high. There are a lot of online businesses and people buy a lot of online. So we have an expertise of a very competitive market that we can both adapt to other markets and help companies to settle into the Spanish market. And we have the English, Spanish, and French and German native speakers in our team. So that helps also a lot to have native people build around international brands. So we thought we really have the tools. So we should be able to offer it to the world. In terms of market expansion, as you mentioned, is that, of course, you have to go from a market where you're established and where people know you, where you don't have to do as much explaining or proof of concept or proof of authority that much anymore. Because there are certain things that, people search for you and they've seen you in events, they've seen you in talks. It's a lot easier to sometimes forget that not everybody, when you go into a different market, international market, you have to start building that authority from scratch. And you have to explain a bit more about how you work, your method, on what grounds are you actually confident that you're able to do the work. So you have to go a little bit back, a couple of steps back and reframe how you present yourself to the world and the work you do. So that's a little, it's trickier. It's a challenge. It's always fun.
Yeah, makes sense. And of course, building a business is not an easy task. And the business founders and the leaders go through a lot of ups and downs. They had to do a lot of restructuring on the way. So when it comes to your business, so how it used to look like at the beginning of the stage and how does it look like now?
Wow. It's been a roller coaster. We've had a lot of shifts along the way, as you said. We started, of course, when you have a business that it's based on founder knowledge and founder technical knowledge, that's our profile. We were technically savvy. We knew the job. We came from a position of being practitioners, professionals of the role, PPC and SEO in this case. So then you have your professional role and you have to build on top the management and business role. So first of all, you have to split your attention. And at the beginning, especially, probably 80% of our attention went to sales and client delivery. Pretty much all your effort is getting clients and servicing the clients. So the way you work, it's a lot of day-to-day tasks and a lot of immediate urgency-oriented day-to-day work. And when you start expanding a little bit and you start hiring people and having a bigger team, you do get a little bit of detachment of the actual, not the day-to-day, but specific tasks. And you have to start thinking more strategically. But as you start thinking more strategically and more about the business, you also have to adapt the business structure that can hold more people. And then you get a little bit into bureaucracy and into the actual business management of things. So that takes more of your time, and you have to make sure that the quality of the service is also being met as you make things a bit more complex. And we like to train our employees in our own methods. So you also have time for training. Then the employees start being more senior. So then they're starting to deliver with more quality. You can get a little bit outside of the weeds a bit more and think more about strategy. And of course, as you have more complex structure and you think more about strategy, you also have to take into account that the extra structure has to be accounted for in the margins. Because before you had the service was 80% of your time. Now the service is 100% of the time of the team, but it's not 100% of your time. And then you've got an admin team that also gets within the structure. Just things start to be a bit more complicated, but we always knew that we wanted to grow sustainably and based on certain values that we had. So we were able to build things organically and slowly. So these things, you always have phases where you have a bit more one thing or the other, but the goal was to actually figure all this out along the way and not in a sustainable way that was feasible for everyone.
And the interesting thing is transitioning from a founder dependent to creating an independent team and structurizing and the organizing the entire processes. So I saw a lot of founders really struggle with this transition phase. So can you tell us more about how did you handle the exact transition phase when moving from founder dependent to creating an independent and the more structured team?
It's always a balance. You have to
Oh.
balance client work and strategic work. But the good thing about having a remote first company, as we did, is that it forces you from the beginning to think about structure and communication. Because when you don't have the ease of immediate contact, you have to have really clear communication channels and a really clear task management and project management structure. Because if not, it falls apart. Like it's either physical control or structural control. So the remote first part, it forced us from the beginning to have a structure that allowed for communication, especially asynchronous communication, because not everybody's working at the same time. So you already have a registry of what's happening, of the task, of the client status, just by the nature of the actual work. So one thing does help the other. It's true that sometimes you have to be more on top of things. And you do have more admin work as the project manager, but it's a lot, like the path is clearer. And it was a bit of an organic growth, because once you have the structure, you do add more people, but the structure is the same. And you have to onboard them into your way of working and communicating and dealing with tasks. So again, I don't want to make it sound easy, because it's not. You have to figure out the structure. You have to figure out the project management tool. You have to figure out the way you want to control the workflow. But we've always thought of like that. Like me and my partners, we've always been structure oriented. Like it's one of those things that comes more naturally to us. So we build the structure first, and then we build a team. So then you do have to adapt, because some people like the tool, some people don't. So you have to force them a little bit and be really annoying with enforcing the actual tool to be used. But you get there. You eventually get there, and you're able to build on top of it.
Yeah, sounds really interesting. And regarding building the tools and building the systems, you mentioned that you are building AI, especially the systems using AI on your own, but most of the agencies are just buying the AI tools and the systems out of the shelf. But why did you decide to build it on your own, especially your founders?
Yeah. Well, I always say that we do have an unfair advantage. We have one of our founders, he's actually a computer science major, and he has a master's in AI development. So he knows the structural part of AI and how AI thinks and how AI works. And then we have one of our partners as well. He's a developer. He's a web developer, but he's been able to adapt to a lot of the technical aspects of working with AI. So I know that's not the case for everyone. Not everyone in a team of 15 people, not everyone has one AI specialist and one developer that can work on this. So again, we have an unfair advantage of people who not only understand the system, but also love to nerd out about the system. So they do it even on the weekends because they just think it's fun. So again, unfair advantage. I know, I'm aware of this. This is the one thing. And then the other thing is that we've had some experiences in the past where third-party softwares or like tools at some point did not meet our requirements as the company changed or shifted. So you do get a little bit constrained in certain aspects. And then changing technology, it's a whole thing in itself that takes a lot of time and effort. So if you combine the fact that it's fun to build and fun to figure out what's happening, and it allows us more freedom and flexibility to build it ourselves, we just said, let's go for it. Let's see what happens. And we gave us like 4 months time to have like a prototype working. And if it works for us, even if it's not perfect, we'll go for it. If not, we can find alternative solutions. But it ended up working great. So we're very happy.
Yeah, amazing. And what is the kind of the tool or the solution you built that is the biggest needle mover for you?
Right. That's a very good question. So it's a lot of things, but I guess that the biggest shift is actually a mindset shift, because all of a sudden, well, first on the technical side, we work with a tool that we use commercial models, but we have built our own context and our own guardrails and our own like security features and our own like processes within the context, like the structure. I'm not technical, so I don't know the exact words, but that's the logic. And it, on one hand, it allows you to explore things that you didn't have the resources to do before. So it expands your way of thinking about the work. All of a sudden, you can think about that extra step that you were not able to take, or that thing that was a little bit more complex, especially with data. Like I could cross four different data streams and I could get like my dashboard done. I could do it, but it probably would take me like 2 weeks. And I could do it, but some people in my team, they didn't have the technical knowledge. And all of a sudden, like that's been solved for you. So you start thinking about what's possible next, right? Like, okay, like this is solved. What's the next option? Like, what can I build? What can I do? And you realize that you can solve yourself. I'm saying yourself because you have to have the technical support. Someone has to help you with the technical support. But once the core is done, you yourself can build so many things that it's so exciting. It's exciting again. You get out of the weeds, you start thinking and you start imagining of all the tools you can figure out. And it's really exciting and it's really fun. For me, one example is building Google Ads scripts. Google Ads, for those who don't know, it has an option where you can work with scripts as in like the language, programmed pieces of code that help you automate things like reporting, alerts, changes in the accounts, monitoring, these kind of things. A year ago, if I wanted a script for monitoring outdated offers, for example, like last year's offers, I needed to get a developer to build me this script that it's probably super easy to do. And it's like for a developer, it's probably like the most boring job ever because it's plain code, very simple that I could not do. So I would have to have someone else do it. And it's a simple job that this person honestly probably does because they get paid, but it's not fun. And I have to wait for this to get made. And then I have to figure it out. So it's a whole thing. Right now, I can tell my AI, I need a script that does like these 4 steps and needs to check these 3 things. And this is the output I want. And I have it built in 10 minutes. And I think it's amazing because it allows me to do my job better. I can do it faster and more accurately. And I can't speak for the community, but I also believe that the people who are doing tiny, boring, menial tasks for non-technical people who were really annoying are free to do a lot more fun and complex things because I can't do the complex things still. Like that's not, but I can do the tiny ones. So I'll need help with the more complex things. And I think we can all like up the level of complexity of our work. And I think that's very exciting and very fun. And I love it. I'm very happy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we will really enjoy that feeling of building the tools, especially when we build it on our own. Because
can imagine.
Yeah, we will see every transition from the beginning and until we achieve the success. So yeah, for me, I feel like it gives us the highest level of dopamine hit when something built out and gets succeeded. Yeah,
it works.
Yeah,
and it's like it works. That's what I told it to do. So fun. I'm assuming that like people with technical backgrounds, they're used to this. Like that's their core motivation and they've been able to build things and they've probably experienced before. But for us, like muggles, normal people, it's new. So it's very fun.
Yeah, exactly. And also in continuation to that, and you already mentioned to me this, like the real challenge is not about the building the tools or the technology or AI. It is about educating the team and helping them to transition from manual to using AI and utilizing it properly. So how are you navigating this particularly in your company?
Right. I do want to clarify. The technical challenge is not a challenge for us. Again, very specific situation. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people out there, especially in the marketing world, where there's a lot of hype around AI. And you see a lot of social media posts where everyone is in theory and supposedly automating their whole business with AI and you're feeling left behind and you have a lot of FOMO and you don't know where to start because you don't have the technical knowledge. I understand the frustration. I understand that you're feeling like you're not enough and you're not doing enough for your business. So in those cases, I would definitely encourage people to talk with technical partners to try to figure out what they need to unblock the technical part. That's again, maybe not us, but I know that a lot of people are struggling with this. And I understand. I wouldn't have been able to done it on my own. I would have needed a technical part. So that's the one thing. Then once you figure out the technical part and it's working, you have to transition the way you work to the whole company and the whole team. Like that's like the next hurdle where we were at up until a month and a half, 2 months ago. And the thing in our experience is that when you have to first transition the way you work, you change certain habits. You have a whole team of people who are used to working in a certain way at a certain pace. And they have their habits, they have their ways of doing things. So as soon as you want to change those habits and the pace and certain things get disrupted. You're uncomfortable for a while. So not just AI, any change, any technological change takes a little while and you have to adapt and you do have like, it's your job, as a leader, as the person who is championship for the change, in this case in technology, to make people understand why are you doing it? Like, what's the benefit? And it's not what's the benefit for the company or what's the benefit for me. Like, honestly, like if we love each other, we're really happy with our team, but like they want to know what's in there for them. Like, what's the benefit for their job, for their role, for the specific role, and what can they do? What's going to be easier for them? So there's a step of communicating the vision and championship what we're working towards. But then there's the layer of actually showing and working on specific tasks that will make each employee's life easier. Like, this is what it can do. This is the task. Try it out. This is an example. And after this, you try and be creative with it. And we thought that the onboarding, the technical onboarding was a little bit rough because the first version we had was very geeky looking because it was like with the terminal and the files and the thing. And it was a little bit intimidating. Now it's just a chat, which is a lot easier, but it was a little bit intimidating. So you had the files and the structure, you had the API access, the tokens, the security layer. So it was a little bit, we did do for like the first implementation session, we did an on-site session to be able to figure out the hurdles around this. And then after that, our technical team, which is one person, Christian, he then was able to figure out the installation for everybody else. So once that was like solved, we just encouraged people to start working on it and start actually solving tasks with the AI. Like, just get this task done and see how it does. Get the next task done and see how it does. And we thought that it was going to get a lot more pushback because the team had tried out like generic LLMs like ChatGPT and Gemini and all of these, even with the context and the files, and you know how you could personalize your little chat, but they never got the results they wanted because, of course, it's limited. It makes sense. It's limited and it has a limited context and it has like, you don't know how to work around guardrails. You didn't have API connections. So the result was poor. And they were a little bit demoralized with all the hype. But it's like, am I the one who's not able to work with it or not? So once they actually tried our version, who already had the context, who already had the data, the APIs, the BigQuery connections, the guardrails, the data transformation, we have Python scripts that deal with the data and make little chunks with the data. So all that was already solved. And the output you get out of it, it's so much better because it has so much more context that the transition was a lot easier than we thought because they loved the results from the beginning. But you did have to get to that stage of the context and having results who were a lot better already than the standard commercial chat LLM. Long answer, sorry.
No, that was a detailed one. Yeah, a really useful one, I would say. Of course, there is this learning curve is always there whenever we are starting a new thing. But of course, it might still feel slow at the beginning of the stage. But once that learning curve is completed, once we pick up that acceleration, we might even see the growth when compared to the steady line. It goes even higher when everything goes in an order and in a particular order, right? So,
yeah, it's like the magnitude is amazing.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Got it. And let's talk about the PPC for a moment here. My background is in SEO. So I really understand what is really going on right now in the industry, mainly about the AI overviews, GEO, AEO, all this stuff. And my first question is, how does it really affect PPC, especially when it comes to the Google Ads? So how does it really affects the first thing? And the following question, I'm just asking it right away. The following question is going to be, what about the LLM ads? So are you looking after the LLM ads, and what is the future kind of forecast you're aiming for? If it is something you're looking after to you. Yeah, over to you.
Right. That's a fun one. Okay. So yes, we're seeing a shift in user behavior, as you said, but it's still early days. I mean, the last data shows that user usage and exploration of commercial intent research in LLMs, it's probably between, I think it's 20%. I'm not sure. I'm not sure right now what's the number, but the actual traffic being sent to the website was around the 3% last time I checked. Conversion rates are a lot higher. So the situation right now is we definitely have to prepare and have to start thinking about it and start testing it. But it's not, the business currently is not there yet. It will be. We have, and of course, in marketing, especially in digital marketing, we have to be the first ones there. Like the opportunity cost of being prepared is really big. So I think that the conversation is a lot bigger than the actual traffic. I don't know if you know what I mean. So that's one thing. And then there's another thing where with informational queries, especially SEOs, but with informational queries and media and certain specific types of businesses, B2B, with a lot of informational and upper funnel queries, we have seen a drop in impressions available. So we have a drop in impressions. That means that for this specific channel, the inventory that we had is shrinking, right? So the theory says that, again, the inventory is shrinking. So the inventory that we have left is more competitive. So it's getting more crowded and it's more expensive. As soon as it's more competitive, it's more expensive. And also you have to compensate for the visibility and traffic that you lost in organic traffic. So it's even more competitive. So you have a second layer of competitiveness. So it's getting interesting, let's say it that way. But the theory also says that the inventory that we're losing here was informational traffic, not transactional traffic, and conversions are not falling as much as traffic, which is true to a certain point, but does not invalidate the fact that transactional keywords are more competitive. So they're more expensive. It's tricky. And in theory, the traffic, like the LLMs, AI overviews and AI mode and ChatGPT and whatever is gaining more conversations, and conversations are being longer. So if you think of every time a user asks a question is a new opportunity to show up as a business, that's an old Google query. So in theory, the queries that we're losing here should be compensated with other channels. That's the theory, but we don't know yet. We don't know the volume that's happening here. So right now, it's a little bit of a foggy situation where we have to navigate more expensive queries, less visibility, and trying to figure out how to be more visible in AI where slots are less available. Like you used to have 10 ads and 10 organic results, and now you have maybe 2 business answers in either AI, LLM, whichever. You have like maybe 2 or 3 links, 4 at the best, where maybe 2 are organic and 2 are paid. So we have to see what happens. We're in a little bit of an uncertain territory. Again, right now, it's not a huge amount of traffic, but we have to figure out the strategies to be where we need to be with our brands. Again, long answer.
Got it. Yeah, it was really an amazing answer. And yeah, it feels like a masterclass, of course.
Thank you.
If we talk about your business, so what is your next move? Where do you want to see your business in the next 12 months?
Okay. My first answer would be that I'm trying not to think in 12 months period because I have no idea what's going. If I think back 6 months back or 12 months back, like my day to day is like changed completely. So I'm going to go for the next 6 months. That's where I'm confident. I know people have 5-year plans, which is at the moment, I'm like, no, I'm not going anywhere near a 5-year plan. I no. So 6 months, let's say 12, but 6 months. We are currently in the process of adjusting our work and SOPs to AI internally. And I know that that's what everybody says, right? Everybody's putting their SOPs into AI. But I think it's a lot harder than people let on because it's not flashy for social media to say that it's hard. It's hard. It's not that easy. There are nuances. Not all the projects are the same. Clients are different. Needs are different. The landscape is changing. 6 months ago, I didn't have to think about AI overviews that much or ads in ChatGPT. That's new. So SOPs are not as easily adaptable. So we're thinking about it in 2 ways, which is trying to figure out, I can't think of the word, like modules that serve certain purposes. So you have a module that serves search, you have a module that serves socials and how they interact together. And the hard part actually is how they overlap. Because we tend to think about tasks as independent boxes, but there are things that overlap for both. Data gathering, reporting, anomaly detection. So you can't have completely separate checkboxes for processes. And as you build, you have to figure out how the one affects like the one that was 2 levels below. And it's a complex engineering like problem in terms of a thought experiment. It's not straightforward. And it takes a lot of thinking and brain capacity and a lot of testing. It fails most of the time until you get it right. So that's in terms of AI. And in terms of business, we want to be an AI first company. And that's not, again, it's one of those things that marketers say, but we do want to be, as we built a company that was remote first and it worked great for us for the way we think about things. And now we want to be an AI company first, meaning that we want to have an AI assistant that can help us figure out how to work better and make things better on our own terms and have that ability to make our own choices and not be constrained by the technology, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Amazing. And yeah, I really wish you all the very best. Of course, it is changing a lot and so rapidly, and sometimes it is really hard to keep up with the speed, how it is evolving. But yeah, the way you are doing is really good.
Yeah, I also have to say that it's really fast. It's really intimidating because you'll feel all the time that you're falling behind, which by the way, it's not true. You're not, people listening, you're not falling behind. You're good. Just talk to people who can help you figure this out. You're good. But there's also, what I've noticed is there's a hidden cost, which is increased cognitive load. Like we have jobs that demand of us a lot of cognitive load and a lot of mental energy. So it was already hard. It was already tough as knowledge workers. But now you have the technology, the AI, the client's expectations around AI, and the fact that even once AI helps you, which is great, is amazing, it makes you have to think about more things, more layer and faster. So your cognitive load and the way you approach your work, it's more it takes more energy. Like your brain needs more energy. So I've had to adapt the way I work to the new demands on my own mental capacity. And I don't think that we talk about this as much, but it's a really interesting side effect of what's happened.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I really, really appreciate you sharing that. And yeah, so finally, if you could share one advice for the marketers out there, what would you say?
Okay. First of all, don't panic. It's all good. You're not late. It's fine. Breathe. It's good. The other one would be that I do believe that there's going to be a gap, a divide between people who are able to figure out how to work with AI and people who do not. I'm not trying to be, to generate hype where there isn't any. Like that's not the thing. But I do believe that it's a workplace revolution. We have to work differently. And if everyone else is working differently at some point in the future, you have to adapt. It does take knowledge. So my advice would be don't panic. It's fine, but start thinking about it. Start asking questions. Even if you seem foolish and you think everyone is more advanced than you are, it's probably not true. So I would not have fear of sounding foolish or of sounding dumb or asking the basic questions. I would look for a technical partner, ask the questions, really understand what's happening and how they can help you, and start figuring out how to work with AI, because I do believe it is a game changer.
Yeah. It is really a wonderful advice and a really a useful one. Of course, every time the new becomes a normal one.
Yeah, that's another thing. It will be, it will be fun. I don't know what's your situation, but we'll figure it out. Like we're in the marketing space and digital marketing space and dev space. Like that's what we do. We adapt. We figure it out. We adapt. We ask the questions. We'll figure it out. I'm sure.
Exactly. Yeah, got it. Yeah, thanks for sharing all that, Anna. It is really, really a wonderful conversation, honestly. So we have shared so many amazing insights about your business and about AI, marketing, PPC. Wow, it is really an amazing conversation. And yeah, thanks for joining our show. So before we leave, so if anyone wants to find you out, where they can check out for you.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's so fun because I talk all day about my craft, about paid media. I don't get to talk about business and business challenges as often. And I really love it because it's also part of my day-to-day. So it was really fun and I appreciate the invite. So thank you. As for me, people can find me on our website, bigmomo.com, or in social, especially in LinkedIn. Anna Kostic, I can send you a link. You can find me. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so I'll be there.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Anna.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.